Canadian healthcare has many unreimbursed costs and is not perfect. Americans will have no place to go for quality healthcare if Obamacare is enacted. How do you justify taking away our medical coverage and placing it under government control? Actually, there's very little similarity between the healthcare legislation that passed the House and the Senate. Now, they are different from each other, but their similarities are greater than their differences. But there's very little similarity between them and Canadian healthcare. It is so the premise that Canadian healthcare is not perfect is certainly true, but it's sort of irrelevant to the question of what healthcare reform we can have here in the United States. But how do I justify taking away our medical coverage and placing it under government control? I wouldn't want that. I haven't done that. I didn't vote for that. What the healthcare legislation that passed the Senate and passed the House, which in some form still may make it into law, does not put healthcare under government control. What it says is that for 80% of Americans, 85% of Americans, they will continue to get their health care from private insurers through their employers and that sort of thing. And for 10% of the country that has no health care coverage at all now, they will be able to buy private health care coverage. And they will get assistance if they cannot afford the full cost of it. They'll get assistance in paying it. But again, it's private health care coverage. For the only thing that might be called government health care would be for our military, and that would be unchanged. And for the Indian Health Service, and that would be unchanged. So now, as for Medicare, you understand, for Medicare, you as a Medicare beneficiary choose your doctor. You and your doctor make your medical decisions, and the doctor then submits his bill and is paid. Is paid from the Medicare fund. But the government is not making the medical decisions. It is the patient and the doctor. That is what would be continued in the kind of health care legislation that passed the Senate and the House. That is exactly the point. Medical health care in Canada is not a good model. It is not what is in any of the legislation that's been passed in the Congress. It is not what I would advocate. I understand. You have experienced it. You say you don't like it. Fine. You would not have it here. In my opinion, education is not the answer. It only helps individuals' chances of landing a scarce job that might be available. We need more private sector jobs, not government jobs. What is being done to achieve this? Well, first of all, I do believe that education is the answer. That our future as an economy, as a society, as a country depends on having a smart, well-trained workforce and new ideas. And that will depend on education, research and development, and new ideas. So that's how our economy grows. That's where jobs come from. We will not get ahead with yesterday's jobs. That's why, for example, I strongly support support new private sector jobs in the energy sector. That is where, for the next 3 decades, this world will be spending money. If we have technologies we can sell in the energy sector, we will be selling to the world rather than buying. We will not be sending part of each energy dollar overseas. On the other hand, people overseas will be sending their money to us if we develop those energy technologies. That is one very good example of how we can build private sector jobs in America.
What technology are you referring to? You're speaking like Obama in fake attitudes. Yes, I knew
Okay, well, there are a number of questions here. I'll just take the first one. Do you, as a sworn defender and protector of the Constitution, it's kind of it's an odd question. I'll read it exactly as it's written, but then you'll have to help me straighten it out. I think I know the point of the question. Do you, as a sworn defender and protector of the Constitution, how do you reconcile the unconstitutionality of nationalized health care? It's interesting that this is nationalized is written in the British manner. But do you as a sworn defender, indeed, I am going to have to ask you to keep it down so others can hear. Do I, as a sworn defender and protector of the Constitution, reconcile the unconstitutionality of nationalized health care? Well, again, it would be constitutional, but it is not what has been proposed. That's not what came out of the House. That's not what came out of the Senate. That is not nationalized health care. Not only does it have no similarity with Canada, it has no similarity with Britain. So it is not nationalized health care. You know what I might want to do is take the people who are actually interested in a discussion here into another room and let those of you who want to yell stay in the cafeteria and yell. Look, I mean, this is childish, folks. This is childish.
Take them in another room like Congress does.
Until I get to your question. And look, well, if you're tired of sitting down, the door is right there. The door is right there. Okay. Would you please? Okay. Why should we believe you and other politicians? Because most of you were in office during the times of corruption in both political parties. How are you different?